If you happen to be paying attention, hey, Robert here. This is what I call my pre-show, where I just come on to make sure that all the tech stuff is working fine. So forgive me if I look away from the camera to be checking everything to make sure that everything is okay. If you do happen to be here early, go ahead and say hello and tell me your name and where you're from. And if you happen to be watching this on a replay, you're welcome to hang out through this and the pre-show, or you can fast forward the video to where you can see my intro video runs. And about 10 minutes, 15 minutes from now into the video, and then you can start the actual show. So, let's see. It looks like I am having an issue with YouTube. I don't know why. Let's test this again. We are not receiving your viewers may be buffering. Ensure your connection is fast enough, or consider using a lower bit rate. All right, I don't know what this is. If you happen to be watching, I'm seeing some technical stuff. Well, there it is. Now it says it's okay. Had an issue with YouTube last week, which is interesting. Okay, now it says it's good. I don't know what that is. YouTube last week, which is good. All right, so let's see. All right, so let's see here. What time are we? 2 minutes to pre-show. I'm still just doing my tech stuff here if you happen to be on. I can see that we have Lily from Ukraine. Welcome. She sees me. Yeah, there was some, hopefully we're not going to have a problem with YouTube again this week, which feeds my website and YouTube. Clark here from Florida. Cool, welcome Clark. It's weird, I'm not seeing the chat as much as I normally do. Let me try reloading this. Well, that's weird. Pop out chat. Oh, all right, that's cool. That's better. Okay, so welcome, Clark. Welcome, Ole. Welcome to the show. Let's see, 1 minute to pre-show. If you happen to be on, why don't you please say hello and let me know your name and where you're from. Looks like we're okay on Facebook. the moment we're okay on YouTube. See if we got anybody wanting to get access. No, okay. So we're looking good at this point. Here we go soon for the intro, the pre-show. By the way, if you happen to be here, the pre-show is, you can see the countdown timer on your screen. Oh yeah, let me do this. When that countdown timer hits 0, the official show will start. This is what I call the pre-show. Please let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Everything is looking good on my end, but you never know. And let me know your name and where you're from if you're joining me right now. Hello to Byron from Canada. Nice to connect with you, Byron. Let me know your name and where you're from if you're paying attention. That's always fun and important for me to know who's here and whether I know you or we have a connection or you're new or whatever else it is. Again, this is the pre-show. It's just an opportunity for us to connect casually before the show actually starts, have a little bit of social chit-chat, whatever you want to call it. And so that's the purpose of the pre-show. 10 minutes before, Linda says hello from Colorado Springs. Hello, Linda. Boy, it's been a long time since I've been in Colorado, period, and Colorado Springs in specific. You may or may not know I lived in the Denver area for about 6-7 years, and then I lived up in Evergreen for another 3 years before ultimately moving to Florida after I got married. So I have many, many, many fond memories of Colorado. Okay, Byron says everything is okay, good. It's looking fine for me. I'm looking at the Facebook streams, the YouTube stream, the stream on my website, which comes from YouTube. Cool. So, anyone else is here, please give me your name and where you're from and say hello. When the countdown timer that you can see hits 0, hello, Tong. Sorry if I mispronounced that, from Taiwan. Welcome. I recognize the little picture, the cartoon or whatever that is. So I know you've been with us before. Welcome back. All right. So everything is looking good at the moment, but then it was last week, and then the only thing I can figure out if you happen to be on last week is that YouTube had a glitch, because everything was fine here. Everything was fine with the internet. Everything was fine with my streaming PC. It was still going to Facebook fine, but something broke with YouTube, and YouTube feeds the video on my website, the live stream, and also if someone's on YouTube. So we'll see what's happening. If you have joined us, please say hello. Let me know your name and where you're from. I'd really appreciate it to connect that way. Leslie is here from Kissimmee. I don't know, is that Florida? I think it might be, but I can't remember. So welcome, Leslie. I don't recognize your name before, so if this is your first time, welcome. The countdown timer is for the pre-show. When it hits 0, the show will actually start. And this is just an opportunity for us to connect socially in an informal way before the official show begins. So I'm happy to have you share anything about what's going on with you, or just any kind of social connection that doesn't relate to the content of the show. Leslie says yes. Okay, so Florida. And we have somebody that must be here from the area of Russia. I cannot read it. Sorry. And in the YouTube chat, I do not have a way to translate. So welcome, whoever just entered their name in from that part of the world on YouTube. And let's see if there is anybody else. Irene from Pennsylvania, welcome. Dorothy from Massachusetts, welcome, Dorothy. Thrilled to have you here. Thrilled to have all of you here, even if you're not introducing yourself. Good to see that everything's working technically. Maybe some of you can see, if you've been on the show before, that behind me things have changed a little bit. I changed the picture that was on the wall. What you can see now at the top is a thing that came from the TV show 24. which I loved for this 8 seasons that it was on. And there's a picture you might be able to see. It's probably pretty small for you, of Kiefer Sutherland, the star of it, that's signed, and then some other memorabilia stuff that my assistant Nancy got me. And then underneath, there's a whole bunch of action figures of characters from TV or movies that really inspire me or that I found to be fun, that keep me company and inspire me on my journey in my command center here. Let's see. Tina is here from Finland. Welcome, Tina. Thrilled to have you here. Jules from London, I think. I don't remember Tina or Jules before. Maybe you've been on before. Maybe this is your first time. Welcome, either way. I'm thrilled that you're here. The countdown timer is, this is the pre-show. Just an opportunity to chit-chat socially. If you're watching this on the replay again, you can fast forward it if you want to get to the actual start of the show. And she is Svetlana from Russia. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Welcome, Svetlana. I hope I pronounced that okay. From Russia. Thrilled to have you here. I'm seeing someone else that's from that. Okay. I'm seeing some more Russian characters from somebody else that I'm sorry I can't read, but welcome. Let's see, is anyone else here? If you are and you'd like to say hello, okay, I am Salavat. Sorry if I mispronounced that. From Russia. Cool, welcome. Thrilled to have you here. That is a part of the world. My Busting Loose from the Money Game book has been translated into Russian. You may be aware of that, and there are people in my sphere of influence, including have gone through the Ultimate Freedom Experience from Russia, but it's something that's I'm relatively new to in terms of interacting with people from your part of the world, so I'm thrilled to have that opportunity and happy that you're here. Let's see if there's anyone else. The countdown timer, when it hits 0, the show will start. This is the pre-show. If you wonder why I'm looking away sometimes, I've got other computer things here that I have to check to make sure that everything's okay. Especially after last week where we started the show and about 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the show, there was a technical issue and I didn't notice. I was so focused on saying what I was saying. So today I will check from time to time to make sure that the streams are still working okay. Pablo is here from Colombia, South America. Welcome, Pablo. I'm thrilled to have you. Pia from Germany. Welcome, Pia. I'm not sure. Both of you seem like you're new or the first time you've introduced yourself. So if that's the case, welcome. I'm thrilled that you've joined us on the show. I love the fact that the internet lets us connect with each other from all over the world, and it doesn't matter where you are. Makes the world so much a smaller place and creates so many cool opportunities that I am always thrilled and excited about. That's why I ask for people's names and where they're from. Let me make sure that someone is not trying to get access to this. Okay, that's from something else. Again, everything is looking good technically. Rick is here. Summertime greetings from Pennsylvania. Welcome, Rick. I think you've been with us before, Rick, but I'm not sure. In fact, I'm not sure. Last week, did you say greetings from rainy Pennsylvania? Was that you or was that somebody else? Not sure. Michelle is here from Pennsylvania as well. And Joy from the Bay Area. Welcome to Michelle and Joy. Again, sorry for looking away. I have to check other computers to be able to see what's going on with chat and stuff. Barbara is here from Germany. Welcome back, Barbara. I recognize you from before. 1 minute almost, a little more for show until showtime. Anybody else? Hilda is here from Caracas, Venezuela. Welcome. Again, I just love the international connection that we can have through these kinds of things. It's one of my favorite things. Welcome, Hilda. I think you may have been with us before, but I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Anybody else on YouTube? Again, we're going to start in just a few seconds. Anybody else wants to say hello? Give me your name and where you're from before we start. Now's the time before the countdown timer hits 0 and we begin the official show. Let me take Julie is here from the Bay Area. Welcome back, Julie. Melissa is here from Portland. Welcome, Melissa. Thrilled to have you here. We're counting down here. Fun, fun, fun. It's raining here, which is good for the grass and other things, so that's great. Some people complain, but I welcome rain. When we first moved to this town, there was a drought, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Freedom Teachings video series. Welcome to the Brutally Honest Tuesdays show, a place that you can come every week to say goodbye to hype, dead ends, and frustration, and hello to the truth that sets you free. I'm Robert Scheinfeld, and I will be your host. In case you don't know, I'm a New York Times best-selling author, a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur, and a major renegade, thus the title of this show. I'm also the creator of the Ultimate Freedom Experience, my life's work. The purpose of this show every week is to drop major drops in the pond of your life, your consciousness, your awareness that can ripple out and affect you long after each episode ends. And the purpose is also to push hard and aggressively on lies, illusions, and stories so that you can discover and experience the truth with capital T's that's out there waiting for you. Welcome to episode 13 of Brutally Honest Tuesdays. Still hard for me to believe that I've actually been doing this for 13 weeks now. It was so long in coming. So welcome to Brutally Honest Tuesdays. The topic for today is the two paths through life. Which one do you choose? And we'll get to that in a minute, but a few administrative and logistical things before we get going in case you happen to be new, whether you're participating live or you're watching this later as a replay or a recording. First, the basic flow of the show is that I teach, whatever you want to call it, for about 30 minutes, give or take. And then I open things up for questions for another, in general, up to 30 minutes. So the show is designed to be about an hour, give or take, half share, half questions and answers. The questions and answers are about what I talk about in this show. Or if you've been participating in other episodes of the show, again, this is episode 13, you can ask questions about the other episodes. I do not answer questions or do coaching support for books or online or live experiences through this show. That's not its purpose. I'll mention this again later, but I'll plant the seed now. If you do have questions, especially if you type them in early, be sure to put a Q with a colon before them because chat can get very busy and I scan looking for a Q, looking for questions. So keep that in mind. There are technical issues from time to time. We had one last week. And I'm going to be checking from time to time. You'll see me turn away to make sure that the streams are all okay this week. But it's a good idea to keep this URL handy, robertscheinfeld.com/BHT, which is short for Brutally Honest Tuesdays. Keep that handy in case there are any technical difficulties, you get interrupted and you can't watch the whole show. That's where you can go to get access to a replay. Also to join my email list for Brutally Honest Tuesdays if you'd like to get special announcements and extra goodies for people that subscribe, that are attending the show and also subscribe to the email list. So make a note of that just in case. If you have not already downloaded a copy of my guide, Living the Unblocked Life, I give you a strong invitation to do that now. It will start you on a journey that will take you deeper into what I cover here in the episodes. It's a short guide. It's a downloadable document. And then the next step is a 4-part video masterclass, which will take you deeper, again, into the kinds of things that I talk about here and show you how you can go even deeper if that's something that you want. So keep that in mind. Be sure to download that if you haven't already. You can find a way to do that pretty much anywhere that you may be watching the show. The last couple weeks, I forgot to show my quote of the week. Every week, I have a quote that I plan to share with you. So here's my quote for this week. This is from a book called Origin by Dan Brown. And there's a character in that book named Robert Langdon. And here's the quote. Ever since I was a child, I've had the gut sense that there's a consciousness behind the universe. When I witness the precision of mathematics, the reliability of physics, and the symmetries of the cosmos, I don't feel like I'm observing cold science. I feel as if I'm seeing a living footprint, the shadow of some greater force that is just beyond our grasp. And that quote, I'll leave it up there for a couple more seconds just so that you can finish reading it. I'm taking a look at it again, but as you know, if you've been in my sphere of influence for a while, you've been participating with this show at the core of everything that I share, that I've experienced to be true, the source of all breakthroughs that we can have on this journey, is that other force that quote, who we really are, the intelligence, the creative force that we really are that's responsible for everything that's happening with us. And so I wanted to share that quote with you. Okay, so the topic for this week, the two paths through life, which one do you choose? I, on my journey, discovered that there are basically two paths through life. And certainly somebody could make 5 paths, 10 paths, 12 paths, 4 paths, whatever. But to keep it very simple, I discovered that there are basically two primary paths through life. And I call them the change, fix, and improve path and the truth path. And what happened for me is pretty much what you can see in this diagram. There was a choice that I had to make at one point. Which of the paths am I going to choose? Am I going to choose to stay on the change, fix, and improve path, which I will define in a minute, or am I going to shift direction and begin going down the truth path? And the decision that I made was to shift gears, shift directions, and start moving down the truth path. So let's take a look at these two paths, and then I will give you an invitation. We'll put that image back up, and I'll kind of say, okay, now that you know about these two paths, which way do you really want to go from this moment forward? So the change, fix, and improve path. As the name would suggest, this is a path that is very goal-driven, outcome-driven, wanting to produce specific results driven. Change, fix, and improve is the language that I use for what most people all over the world are on the change, fix, and improve path. And again, as the name would suggest, they're taking a look at their lives. Most of this is conscious, some of it isn't. And nope, that's not okay in my life. I want to change that. That's no good in my life. That's broken. I want to fix that. That may be okay in my life, in my story, as I call it, but I want to improve it. My money may be okay, but I want it to be bigger. My relationship may be okay, but I want it to be better. So it's always focused on specific things that we want to change in our life, we want to fix in our life, we want to improve in our life. And that includes making bad things go away as we see it, making good things that we don't have come, and taking things that we do have and making more of them, if that's, again, part of the improve kind of thing. And so the change, fix, and improve path is driven by that. And then underneath that it's driven by, and there's 20 zillion of them, and there always have been throughout history. It's also driven by techniques and methods and practices and systems. And if you're like I used to be, and most of the people who come into my sphere of influence, it's not just about techniques and methods and practices and systems. There's the hunger, there's the desire, and usually it's conscious, but sometimes it's not, to find what I call a magic bullet technique. The magical technique that you can use, and you can pump any want, desire, change, fix, and improve desire into it and get what you want reliably and consistently. And there are so many things out there. I'm sure you've seen them. You probably are using some of them now, or you've tried them in the past. There's an endless line with different names of these magic bullet techniques that promise you can get absolutely anything you want if you just use this particular technique. And so the change, fix, and improve path is driven by, again, goals and the desire to produce specific outcomes. And then there's this whole list of techniques, and the techniques are different based on what you're doing. There are marketing techniques, and there are leadership techniques, and there are sales techniques, and there are time management techniques. There are different techniques for different things. And then if you happen to be into what might be called spiritual or metaphysical kind of things, then there are manifestation, attraction, and reality creation techniques. Same thing. And that's what drives the change, fix, and improve path. And I, at the time of this recording, if you don't know, hold on, I'm going to make a check. Yep, everything's still streaming okay. Good. I'm 61 years old right now. And for the first 50 years of my life, and I'm going to lot my childhood into it, even though I wasn't really using techniques much then, but still there was change, fix, and improve dynamics going on even when I was a child. For the first 50 years of my life, I was on the change, fix, and improve path. And I believed somehow I could get what I really wanted. I could change my life the way I wanted. I could fix the broken stuff the way I wanted, and I could improve my life the way I wanted if I just used these techniques. And then it was, well, okay, that technique didn't work, but now I got this one, and so I'll be able to change, fix, and improve my life, get what I want using this technique. And I went through technique after technique after technique after technique. And so here's what I discovered about the change, fix, and improve path. And there's layers of what I want to say here. It may seem like I'm starting out with just pure bad news, but then I'll add something to it. I'm just being brutally honest about the change, fix, and improve path, as the name of this show suggests. So what I discovered, and it could have just been me. I could just be unique. I could have had a weird life, and what I'm about to say could have just happened to me, but this is something that virtually everyone that comes into my sphere of influence, when I play the role of speaker, teacher, coach, guide, whatever you want to call it, they tell me the same thing. And this happens all over the world. I have been blessed to have the opportunity to share the teachings that I share and that I have been sharing now for almost 2 decades with people all over the world. And people from all over the world tell me the same thing. It's not just me, it's not just the United States, it's all over the world. And certainly there are exceptions to everything. But here's what I discovered happened with traveling the change, fix, and improve path. First, the desire to change, fix, and improve, with very few exceptions, but I'm going to talk about it as if there are no exceptions, just because it's easier with language. But there are exceptions to everything. And sometimes there are genuine exceptions. And sometimes people say, no, Robert, that I'm different. I'm an exception. That's not the way it is in my life. And it's not true. They've got blind spots. But sometimes it is. But I'm going to talk about it as if it is true for everybody. The first thing that happens on the change, fix, and improve path is the desire to change, fix, and improve never goes away. It never ends. No matter how good your life gets, no matter how many of the things on your wish list that you get, no matter how many goals you achieve, and most people don't get most of the things on their list and don't achieve most of the goals, but even the people that get the things on their list, there's always something else. There's always something else that you want to change, fix, or improve about your life, the way the mind works and the way the mind processes what's going on. I call it the mind machine, in case you don't know. I'm going to take another quick look. We're still streaming okay. Good. So it never ends. And it can become exhausting. And it can become frustrating. And if you travel the change, fix, and improve path, it is pretty much guaranteed that you are going to experience pain, suffering, and frustration. It's built into it Because there are dynamics that happen for most people that travel the change, fix, and improve path. And I talked a lot about many of them in previous episodes, about creating your reality and unwinnable wars. These are some of the titles, and the truth about desires and wants. So there's a lot more in the previous episodes if you don't already know about it, and I'm not going to repeat that here. But it never ends, and it just leads to suffering, pain, frustration, whatever you want to call it. Because there are things that happen where we want this, we try to get this, we don't get it. Or we get it and we can't hold on to it. We get it and we lose it. That happened to me a lot. Or we really want something, we work very hard, perhaps long, time, money, energy invested, we finally get something and then there's emptiness to it. Really? It's flat. You know, I thought it was going to be a lot better than this if I got this thing. I really thought it was going to change my life, and it really didn't. And I'm still suffering and struggling and dealing with these kinds of things. This was my story. And so the change, fix, and improve path is pretty much guaranteed. As long as you stay on that path, there's going to continue to be pain, suffering, struggle, and frustration. Because there's going to be an endless line of things that you want to change, fix, and improve, and you're not going to be able to change, fix, and improve all of them, or the things that I just talked about are going to happen. And underneath it, because I said the change, fix, and improve path is driven by, I want this, and then techniques that promise that they'll help you to get it. And again, the promise is there are magic techniques. And when it comes to spiritual, metaphysical kinds of things, they really are pitched as kind of magic. That word isn't usually used, but you know, I'm sure you've heard this, something like it. You have unlimited power and you can create anything you want if you just use this technique. Other techniques that are more mainstream, like leadership, sales, marketing, they aren't magic, but they promise. If you just follow these steps, if you just use these techniques, methods, systems, practices, for whatever it is, you can get what you want. You know, use this technique and you can overcome depression. Use this technique, you can be happier. Do this, all this. But none of them work reliably. There isn't any magic bullet technique. I talked about this in a previous episode. And there never has been one. There isn't one now. And there's never going to be one. And there isn't anybody on the planet that has that superpower or that has that superpowered technique that they can get whatever the hell they want if they just use this technique, method, system, practice. There are some people that claim that, but my bias is if I put them under a truth drug, if I could really interview them and they were honest about what's going on, nobody gets everything that they want. Nobody ever gets all their ducks in a row. Again, I'm saying everybody, there are always a few exceptions, but not as many as it seems, and not as many as we think there are when we look at people that are rich, successful, famous, seem like they have their act together. When you pull the curtain back, you see that there's an awful lot of stuff going on with all of that. So for all of those reasons, the change, fix, and improve path leads to endless pain, suffering, struggle, frustration, whatever you want to call it, by its very nature. And thinking that there's a magical technique that's going to finally change, fix, and improve your life and get it exactly the way that you want to, and then everything's just going to stay that way, is a myth. It never works that way, not for anybody. Or if there are some exceptions, of which there's so few, it's not even worth talking about. So it leads to dead end after dead end after dead end. Now, before we move on to the truth path, let me make something clear. Is there something wrong with the change, fix, and improve path? No. Is it bad? No. Are people that travel the change, fix, and improve path stupid? No. Are they misled? Well, it depends on how you define that, but I'll just say no. Is there something wrong with them? No. Should they get off that path and get onto another path? Should they? No. But there's another opportunity that I'll get to in a minute. As I've talked about through all of these episodes and other things that I offer and free trainings and other things that are available on my main website, this human experience, what I now call the human story, is all about having unique experiences. unique thoughts, unique feelings, unique sensations, unique experiences with your body, unique experiences in the world, which I call story space now. It's all about the unique experiences, and it's not about whether we achieve goals or not. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but that's not what it's about. It's about the experiences we have on our journeys through life, regardless of what actually happens. And so the change, fix, and improve path is a wonderful path in many ways, because even if we don't get the things that we want all the time or at all, even if there's struggle, suffering, pain, as we would call it, and those are all words and judgments, and I talked about this in a previous episode, I'll talk about it again in a future one. It's great, what I call raw material building blocks for stories and for unique experiences. And I, as I said, traveled the change, fix, and improve path for 50-something years, 5 decades. And there was a lot of what at the time I would have called pain, frustration, struggle, suffering. But it was perfectly supportive to my life, to my journey, to ultimately discovering the truth path that I'll talk about in a minute, and to having breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough and experiencing what I now call living an unblocked life and experiencing ultimate freedom. None of that would have happened if I hadn't traveled the change, fix, and improve path. So it's a wonderful path to travel. There are many blessings. If somebody happens to be on it, it's not an accident, it's not bad, it's not wrong, it's not a mistake. But the truth is, with almost no exceptions, what I told you, if you travel that path, there's going to continue to be suffering, struggle, frustration, and pain. You're never going to get everything that you absolutely want. You're never going to get all your ducks in a row. Everything is never going to be absolutely perfect the way the mind thinks it might get some way, and you're never going to find a technique that will reliably enable you to produce absolutely everything that you want. I'm a homeowner. This is, if you don't know, my command center, my office over my garage. And I've owned this house for, I think, coming up on 15 years. And if you're a homeowner, you know what I'm about to say. You know, there's always something that happens with a house, right? Something's always breaking down. Something needs to be repaired. Something is wearing out. You know, you never just buy a house and you do some things and then it's fine for the rest of your life in the house. There's always something. And that's a metaphor, but it's the same thing with our lives. So, will the change, fix, and improve path get you to where you really want to go, where your mind really wants to go, where you think it can take you by focusing on producing these results and using techniques? No, it will not. Is there a magic bullet technique that you can use to reliably change, fix, and improve whatever the hell you want just using this technique? No, there is no technique like that. Nobody has that superpower. There never is going to be. And it's a wonderful, valid, extraordinary journey, a way to live life, because it yields so many delicious experiences and can become so supportive, including shifting gears and going into the truth path. So that said, let's talk about the truth path now. The truth path is truth with a capital T. We're talking about the big truth about who we really are, why we're really here, what our purpose is, how things really work while we're here, how reality really gets created, these kinds of big questions, and talking a lot about what's happening in the invisible world. That's what my work has always been focused on since way back in the beginning, my first book, when I first started writing, speaking, and teaching. On the truth path, and let's be clear, stuff happens in your life, you know, and you have to deal with the stuff that happens in your life, you know, whether it's relationships, body, business, finance, money, whatever. So when I say shift your focus, I don't mean ignore the stuff that your mind says I need to change, fix, or improve, or that are problems I have to solve, or goals. I don't mean ignore that. But on the truth path, you shift your focus. And on the change, fix, and improve path, the number one priority, the most important thing is producing the specific results, achieving the goals that we have focused on, getting the things that are on our list. That's the number one priority. And it takes most of our time, money, energy, attention, whatever. On the truth path, you shift your gears, you shift your focus. And your focus shifts to discovering what the truth with a capital T really is. What's really going on? What's my life really about? What's the driving force that's really creating what happens to me every day? These kinds of things, again, the big questions. You shift your focus to that, to discovering the truth with a capital T. Step one. Step two, not just understanding it, not just being able to get an A on a test, but actually experiencing the truth of who you really are at all levels, the truth of what's really going on, and all of these kinds of things. I've talked about this in previous episodes. I'll talk more about it in future episodes. With only 30 minutes to share with you, there's only so much that I can say about all these topics. So you shift your focus to first discovering the truth, then experiencing the truth at a very deep level, verifying what you understand from your own personal experience. And then what I discovered, because what happened to me is I hit so many dead ends and walls and so much frustration and suffering and struggle, as I said, on the change, fix, and improve path, and failing, never being able to get my life the way I wanted it to be, and embracing all these teachings out there about the magic bullet technique and everything, until finally I came to the conclusion, obviously there's something else going on here that these other people aren't talking about, or they don't know, or whatever. There's something else going on here. And if you know my story, my grandfather teased me about some of this when I was 12. But I didn't find out what he had been telling me about till I was quite a bit older. And so I became convinced there's something else going on that nobody's talking about, and I need to find out what it is. Because I do still want to change, fix, and improve my life, and I want to end the suffering, I want to end the struggle, I want to end the pain. I want my life to be easier, more abundant, more joyful, all these kinds of things that I'm sure you want, but obviously it's not going to come from there. And by the way, it's interesting, I studied the life of Buddha recently, and there was a similar thing that happened to him. He wanted to discover the truth. Now, you know, this was thousands of years ago, or whatever it is. And he went into the typical teachings and religions and all these different things that were available in his world at the time, and he went, no, not there. I'm going to have to go find it myself. And he went searching. And that's the kind of thing that happened to me. There's got to be something else going on here. The truth with a capital T has to be something else, or have some missing pieces, whatever else, than what I've been taught and what I've been embracing and what I've been working with. And I need to find out what it is and start dealing with that instead of these other things that I now call lies, illusions, and stories that I had been accepting and buying into and trying to live my life from, and that the techniques rose out of. And so I took this journey. I want to find out what this big truth with a capital T is, and I want to experience it. And once I'm experiencing it, then I hoped it would somehow ripple out and change all these things that were so difficult for me. And the ironic thing is, that's what happened. And it doesn't make any sense logically to a lot of what I call mind machines. And people can argue with it and say, well, I can't possibly do that. And you're telling me I should ignore this and ignore that. And as I said, no. But it's a major shift of focus. It's a major changing of your priorities. And to me, that's what finally worked. That's what finally transformed, with a capital T, my life down to the smallest detail, personal and professional, was shifting from the change, fix, and improve path, from having my list, I want this, and this, to change, fix, and improve, whatever it is. I explained that before. Use this technique, use that technique. Oh, no, that didn't work. Use another one. Stop all of that. Deal with whatever I needed to deal with, day-to-day basis. But make my priority discovering the truth with a capital T, experiencing it, and then see where it goes. And the ironic thing I found is, when you discover it, and when you then experience the truth with a capital T, what happens as a natural byproduct of that shift that takes place, from you going down to this deeper level and work being done there instead of at the levels that we're typically taught, it ripples up and out, and it starts to change everything. And when that happens, somebody could use a technique, they could use a method, they could use a practice or a system, but at that point, when you discover the truth with a capital T, you experience the truth with a capital T, the truth with a capital T makes these shifts, deep, profound, permanent shifts inside of you. What happened for me, and what has happened for the vast majority of people that have come into my sphere of influence, and I've guided them on this journey into what I call ultimate freedom awakening, is that it isn't about techniques anymore. It isn't about setting goals anymore. It isn't about systems and practices. All of this just kind of takes care of itself every day in amazing ways. And even when effort is involved, it feels easy and effortless. And all of these things, the change, fix, and improve things, take care of themselves naturally and automatically. And sometimes it just happens and things just drop into your lap. And sometimes there are things that you do and people that you partner with, of course, and all kinds of ways that it can happen. But it happens in a very different way, and it doesn't happen with you setting goals and setting intentions and creating lists and writing things down and doing vision boards or whatever else it is, where you're trying to push it yourself, create it yourself, manifest it yourself. Effort, 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 push, 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 technique, technique, technique. It happens in a different way. And so that's where I have to end today, is just by saying there are these two paths. Is the truth path better than the change, fix, and improve path? No. Are people who travel the truth path more evolved, more spiritual, more advanced, better, whatever? No. These two paths are equal. They're equally valid. They are equally amazing. And I don't just say that to be politically correct or to play some sort of mind game or word game. That's the truth. And to who we really are, which I now call true creative essence, in case you don't know, everything that happens is equally amazing as part of this human experience. There isn't a hierarchy to who we really are. So there are these two paths. And on the truth path is the only way out of what I call the dead-end rat race of what you experience on the change, fix, and improve path. Now, everybody is not meant to get out of that rat race, to get off that path. Even though things really could change, it's not everybody's mission, purpose, destiny, whatever you want to call it. But to my bias, it's the only way off that treadmill, out of the suffering, struggle, pain, and the endless list of things that you want to change, fix, and improve, the endless dissatisfaction, the endless fighting with what's happening, because the mind says, no, 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 what's happening is not okay, I want this instead, and the endless loop of that. It's the only way out of that. And it creates, as I said before, this human experience is all about unique experiences. And the truth path opens the door to a different set, not better, not more advanced, not more spiritual, even though an argument could be made to that. It just isn't true. But it creates a unique set of different, what I consider to be delicious, best game in town, the most extraordinary experiences that I've ever had, just my bias and my experience for me. It opens the door to a radically different way of experiencing who you are at all levels, what's going on every day, and all these kinds of dynamics that we struggle with and fight with on the change, fix, and improve path completely vanish. And so that was my journey to discover the truth with a capital T, at least my little piece of it, you could say, to experience it, to see this shift take place on this journey, because this unfolded over time. It was not a whammo moment where everything shifted for me at once. Getting on the truth path, taking a journey down the truth path, discovering the truth with a capital T, experiencing a lot of the truth with a capital T, and then seeing how it naturally and automatically rippled up and out and started to change everything. In my story, as I call it, down to the smallest detail, personal, professional, and that's continuing to unfold right now as we speak. And it'll continue to happen, ripple out for as long as I live. Because my story isn't over, at least it doesn't seem like it. I suppose I could die tomorrow. But as long as my journey continues, there's going to be more opportunities for unique experiences that ripple out as a result of shifting over to the truth path. So let me show you that one more time. There is an opportunity for you. Right now, those of you that are watching this live, people that may be watching this on a replay, to shift gears and to shift their direction to traveling the truth path instead of the change, fix, and improve path, and have this opportunity for these kinds of changes. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. That's what happened to me. That has become my mission in life, to support other people and shifting over to the truth path, guiding them along that path, helping them to get to the final destination in my language, which is what I call ultimate freedom awakening, after they start down that path, and guiding them, because it's a very unique path, it's a very unique journey, I had a guide, and it's very important to have a guide, and so it's wonderful for me to be able to play that role. So, speaking about that, I have a message that I want to share with you right now. And then when that message is over, it's about my ultimate freedom experience, how I can guide you in making this shift. And then we'll come back and we'll do questions and answers. So as a reminder, if you have a question, let me make sure. Yeah, we're still streaming. This is where I think it started to break last week and I didn't know. So if you have a question about what I've talked about in this episode or the other episodes, type a Q with a colon in the chat or the comments. And you can start doing that now. You can do that when we come on back. I'm going to show you this message and then we'll come back and do questions and answers. Okay, cool. Here we go. During the episodes of this show, I talk a lot about an inner shift that must take place before things will truly and permanently change in your life. That inner shift I speak about absolutely can happen for you, but you cannot think your way there, technique your way there, or create, manifest, or attract it. It has to happen in a different way. I can help you experience that shift, and the best way that I know to do it is through what I call the ultimate freedom experience that I offer live and online. To get all the details, visit my website, robertscheinfeld.com, and take the first step down that road, which is to download and read the guide that I created called Living the Unblocked Life. Uncover and dissolve what secretly blocks you most. It's free, it's a quick read at just 11 pages, and it will start the ball rolling for you. Get your copy at robertscheinfeld.com. All right. Before we go into questions and answers, and again, if you have questions, just type a Q with a colon and then your question into the chat or the comments, and I'll look at that in a minute. But I have a gift for you for the people that have stayed this long, and if you've been on the show for a while, you've probably seen this or you may have seen it on my website. But for a limited amount of time, I'm giving away ebook copies of one of my bestsellers called The Ultimate Key to Happiness. This is one of those discoveries that I made on the truth path of a radically different way to experience emotions, a radically different way to look at what happiness really means, what such things as inner peace really mean, and how to transform your experience of emotions and experience what I call true happiness, with a capital T, true happiness, all the time, no matter what's going on in your life or inside of you or in the world. And so this is a gift that I'm giving to people for a limited amount of time. You can go to this page on my website, robertscheinfeld.com/happy, and get a free copy of this book as a download, a PDF, an ebook. And you can get this yourself. Feel free to share that website address with other people. I do ask that you send people to that address and let them enter my sphere of influence and receive other information from me instead of just downloading a copy and then giving that copy away to other people. That's my very strong request for you. But this is a gift that I have for you, people watching the show, and I've been giving it away recently, maybe for the last month or so in different ways. So make a note of that, robertscheinfeld.com/happy. All right, let's see what we got here. If anything in the form of questions. Again, type a Q and a colon if you have any questions about what I talked about here or in other episodes. And I got to look away from the camera to be able to see these things. So let's see what we got here. First, Kelly says hi from Spain. Hi, Kelly. Welcome. Michael says thanks for the crystallization this for me. My pleasure, Michael. Melissa says, do you have any new methods for clearing cloud cover since the Breaking Loose book? In terms of methods, techniques, practices, repetitive things that you have to do every day, no. Here's what happened on my journey. And if you don't know what's in the Busting Loose from the Money Game or Busting Loose from the Business Game, or you haven't done an online course where we talked about that and the process and the other 3 tools, This may not make total sense to you, but for those of you that do, it will. There's no way I can give you a quick catch up on that. Hold on a sec. Here's what happened to me, if you aren't already clear about this, Melissa. I used what was in that book, and I used the tools in those books, and of course the process is the heavy hitter, for 6.5 years, as it turned out. Aggressively for the first 3 years, less and less for the second 3 years, but I still used the tools, primarily the process. Knocked out a huge amount of cloud cover doing that, but not all of it. My life changed in huge ways, but there were still other things that were struggles, suffering, problems, issues, blocks. But I stopped using the tools. I stopped using techniques. I stopped using repetitive anything. And my journey continued. And I was taken with a guide that appeared in what I call inner space. I call it the inner teacher. I was taken even more deeply into truth with a capital T. And the rest of the cloud cover got knocked out, not by using techniques, not by using any repetitive anything again, but through a unique journey that I then took that took about, I don't know, 2.5 years, something like that. Doesn't have to take that long. It takes less for people that go through what I call the ultimate freedom experience. It wasn't a technique, it wasn't a method, it wasn't a practice, it wasn't a way to knock out the cloud cover, but it was a journey. And by taking this journey and discovering, as I said, more of the truth with a capital T, experiencing it, I saw as the rest of the cloud cover got knocked out and as everything began to be transformed. But it happened by taking this journey. It didn't happen by using techniques and methods and practices. And after this happened to me, and I, realized, wow, my journey has completed. And I've knocked out all the cloud cover that I was meant to knock out on this particular journey. And the final stage of it happened in a very different way. And so I'm going to offer that as a writer, speaker, teacher, coach, as has always been my habit. Been there, done that, experience it to a very deep degree, some sort of a big breakthrough, and then pop up and share it. So I started to share this with other people, and it's what I call the ultimate freedom experience. And it is a journey that is specifically designed to knock out the rest of your cloud cover if you understand that language, but it happens in a very different way. And it's kind of hard for the mind to understand. But the metaphor that I've been sharing recently about this, to explain how it works, is you, Melissa, and everybody else watching, you probably have a smartphone. And from time to time, you have to do a software update to it. Or you have a computer, or more than one computer, and you have to do there's an upgrade, an update to the operating system. And so you have to trigger a download of the update of the new software for your phone or for your computer. And it takes a while for it to download. And then it has to install. And once you've downloaded the update and the update has been installed, you see different things on your phone. On the screens. I mean, there's new buttons, there's new features, there's new this, there's new that. Things look different and they operate different, and the same on your computer once the download and the update are complete. And then every time there's another download and update, things change. Problems get fixed, bugs it's called with software, new features, new whatevers. And so this journey, what the ultimate freedom experience is designed to do, is pretty much the same thing. You go through this experience, you take this journey, and as you take the journey, this software update gets downloaded over time. It doesn't happen as fast as with a phone or a computer. But a massive download takes place as you go through this thing that I call the ultimate freedom experience that I offer live or online. Major download starts and a lot of it completes, but not all of it. And then it has to get installed. And then there's more updates and more installations on this journey. But that's the kind of thing that happens. You don't use a technique or a system to update your phone. It just happens. You initiate the download, then the install starts on its own, and then the changes happen. But you aren't using a technique. You aren't doing something over and over and over. It happens. And that's the kind of thing that happened to me. There was this download that happened to me after I used the tools in the book to knock out so much cloud cover, so much sun started to shine in. Then the journey was completed by taking this journey with this guide, experiencing this massive download of additional truth with a capital T. The journey continued. I began to experience it, the truth with a capital T, as I explained, beyond what was in the books and other things that I talked about. Although some of it's in that happiness book that I offered all of you as a gift. And this download happened, this software update, you could say, it's not a perfect metaphor, but it's a really good one, happened over time. And then just like what happens with your phone, when the update completes, things are different. And you don't technique them to be different. They're just different. Your phone works differently. Your computer works differently. Problems are gone. New things are there. And it just happens as a result of this update. And so that's my long-winded answer to your question. No new techniques, no new methods, no new practices. But there's a way to knock out however much cloud cover is left by taking this journey that I call the Ultimate Freedom Experience, experiencing this download and the starting of the install, and then seeing the download continue, the install continue after the experience completes. And then over time, and for me, again, the whole download and installation, the major part of it was about 2.5 years, and it doesn't have to be that long. Again, it tends to happen quicker for people, not everybody, that participate in the Ultimate Freedom Experience, but for me, it was 2.5 years. So there's a different way to do it, but is there some new superpower drill, that cuts through the cloud cover, a technique you use every day? No. As I mentioned, there isn't anything like that. And the process, to me, is about the closest thing that I ever discovered to magic in terms of what using that particular tool, that particular technique over and over and over and over. And it took me really far, but not to the end of what I call Phase 3, Ultimate Freedom Awake, living an unblocked life. But it was this journey, it was the download, it was the install, the update that took me the rest of the way. And so my bias is, that's the way to do it, and that's what I help people to do. This Ultimate Freedom Experience was created not by me, but by the intelligence that we really are, true creative essence, to facilitate this download, installation as you go through it, and afterwards that creates these final changes, knocks out the rest of the cloud cover. Okay, let's see here. I can't see the name again, I'm sorry, but it's one of the people that looks like it's writing in Russian. In my money game, there is not many money, so I drive life using busting loose from the money game. I can't appreciate for the course. Please comment on this. Can I be happy? Here's my answer to that. And a lot of minds, or what I call mind machines, don't like this, but it's the truth. And the way I'm built, I speak the truth that I've experienced, the truth I see through my biased eyes, and where it goes, it goes. This journey that I just talked about, this download that I just talked about, and the install, it all started for me somewhere when I was around 50. 50, 51, 52, something like that. Can't remember exactly. And that was after using what's in the Money Game book. For my unique journey, and I talked about this last week when I talked about mission and purpose, that's when it was meant to happen for me, when I was in my 50s. And for other people, it happens younger. And for other people, it happens older, for the people that it's meant to happen. And before it happened for me, I struggled, as a lot of you know, and as it relates to money, for me, the big problem was I was really good at making money, but I was even better at losing the money that I made. So it was always up, 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 crash and burn, up, 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 crash and burn. And every time I did this, the numbers got bigger. But I couldn't seem to stop that. And I struggled and I suffered, and later my family suffered from these cycles. And my time to knock out the rest of the cloud cover, my mission and purpose, when it was designed to happen for me, was when I was in my 50s. And it didn't matter what I tried to do in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. My time was my time, and my bias is this is true for everybody. Go watch the episode from last week if you want to know more about my bias on my take on mission and purpose and how it shapes everything that happens to us. So I don't know how old you are, but here's my truth. If there's a desire to take this journey, if there's a desire to participate in what I call the ultimate freedom experience that I offer, that has an expression of appreciation in form of money attached to it, and the money isn't there to do that right now, for a while, forever, whatever, then that's not the path that you're meant to travel, or it's not the time that you're meant to travel. Because if it was, the money would be there, the way I look at the way things really work. Is it required? Does somebody have to participate with me and go through this ultimate freedom experience to knock out cloud cover and have these kinds of benefits, so to speak, that I talk about? Absolutely not. Who we really are, that I call true creative essence now, could do this any way that it wants. This is just one way. And this journey that I took, I said I had a guide that was what I call an inner teacher, appeared in my mind, you could say, what I call inner space, and took me down this path, the truth path, in the same way that I take people as an outer teacher down this path. That could happen for you. There could be another way that you knock out the cloud cover. This is how I represent that with my hands. And that these things can change. But it's not going to happen till it's your time. Regardless of what the mind thinks, I certainly wanted it to happen a lot earlier than my 50s, and it didn't. And I certainly would have wished that when this whole thing started, it wouldn't have taken 2.5 years, my mind, that it would have been much faster, but it wasn't. So can you still be happy? Absolutely. Can you still knock out cloud cover? Absolutely. What's going to happen in your unique story with your unique mission and purpose and with what timing, I don't know. But certainly it's possible. And again, to me, if doing something that I offer is part of your story or anybody's story that's watching this, and that's what's been written into your story, as I call it, the money will show up somehow. And if it doesn't, again, it isn't the way you were meant to go, or it isn't the time, and the money will show up at some other point when it is your time. And so that's the best answer that I can give you. And I really want to make it clear. I have never seen anything all over the world. I've never seen anything like this ultimate freedom experience that I offer. Excuse me. Doesn't mean there isn't something. And we're all different. And again, who we really are can create what I call knocking out cloud cover, what I call ultimate freedom awakening, any way that it wants to. But to me, this ultimate freedom experience, this whole thing that I've talked about, is unique. People all over the world are having this experience that I call ultimate freedom awakening from going through it, experiencing this download, this install that I talked about. But it isn't going to be everybody's path. And again, the money will take care of itself. Who we really are always creates the money for us to do the things that are part of our mission and purpose. Not always the way that we'd like, not always the way that we expect, and more often than not, I would almost feel like saying never, with the timing that we would prefer. But that's the best that I can answer that question. And again, this question was only with this knowledge? No. This is what worked the magic for me. This is what transformed my life. This is what led to the awakening of ultimate freedom. This is what I offer. This is what I guide people on. But is it the only way? Absolutely not. Do people have to do this? Absolutely not. And again, you can get some fantastic benefits from getting this book, which again is free. What's in the Ultimate Freedom Experience, but this too is a download of sorts and an install of sorts that can help you, and it's free. So that's what I feel like saying about that. Okay. All right, let's see if we have any other questions here. Rolf says, what is the difference between the truth with a lowercase t and the truth with a capital T? Again, to me, truth with a capital T is the big truth. It's the big questions. And if you've seen any of the trainings that I've offered, you've seen me talk about this. Throughout history, there have been questions that have haunted humans for as long as there's been humans. And they're always the same questions. I mean, the language can be different, but they're always the same questions that humans have always been trying to answer and are struggling with answers for. And even scientists struggle with answers for some of these things in their own ways. And the questions are, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And then I added a fourth question that's kind of implied by all of that, which is, as I mentioned before, how do things really work while I'm here? Okay, here's who I am. Here's why I'm here. Here's what my purpose is. But stuff happens to me every day, inside of me and outside of me. What's really creating that? Why? Why do the things that happen to me in my life, inside of me and outside of me, happen the way that they do? So that to me is those are the big questions. And they all deal ultimately with things that are happening behind the scenes in what I call the invisible world. And this to me is truth with a capital T. The answers to questions like that and the questions that flow out of it. And typically that's called spiritual or spirituality, although there's so many things that are out there that fall under that banner. But to me, truth with a capital T means the accurate explanation, or as accurate as it's possible for us to get with the mind, that has practical benefit, not just thinking about it, understanding, being able to get an A on a test. Accurate, practical answers to questions like that is what I mean by truth with a capital T, and what I look at words like spirituality really mean. Okay, let's see. Irene says, it is my understanding that in order to really experience the truth with a capital T, it has to be written in my story. Is this a correct perception of what's happening? Yes, absolutely. And again, I talked about this in some earlier episodes. I'll talk about it in the future. There are other things where I talk about this, and it's all over the Ultimate Freedom Experience. Our lives are very much like stories in the way that I see it. And so let's take a look at a story. And I use the example very often of Harry Potter, because most people have heard of those stories, or they've seen the movies, or they've read the books. At least most people know about it. And so there's a Harry Potter story, and there's an author named J.K. Rowling that wrote the Harry Potter stories. So let's say that you're reading a book. It's the same thing for a movie, but let's just use the example of the book. In the book, there are hundreds, thousands of characters, humans, people. And then there are buildings, and there are dragons, and there's magic, and there's castles, and there's people, places, and things, you know? And all of it comes from the author. Anything that you read on the page of a book or you see on the screen of a movie or a TV show comes from a writer. It comes from an author. And it appears to be what it is, but it all comes from, you could call it the creativity, the essence, the imagination, whatever, of the author. And to me, but this is something that I would spend a lot more time on. You know, I'm just glossing over it in a few quick minutes here. The same thing is happening in our life. There's who we really are that I call true creative essence, that's like the writer of our stories. And anything that we experience ultimately comes from the writer, who we really are. And so anything that happens, it's not just whether you experience truth with a capital T. Everything that happens is because it was written into the story, to use that language, not just an experience of truth, everything. If you're reading a Harry Potter book, if Harry says anything, does anything, thinks anything, feels anything, has any kind of an experience, what had to happen first? Well, the writer had to write it. It all comes from the writer. And this is very controversial in a lot of circles. It is possible to verify this, the truthfulness of this, from your own experience. That's part of what happens on this journey down the truth path to ultimate freedom awakening that I talked about. It's not just a theory or a philosophy or a cool idea. You can actually experience the truth of it. But it's very controversial, and it goes against the grain of what most people teach and believe and embrace and are living their lives from. So yes, but everything that happens to everybody, whether it's related to truth with a capital T or not, only happens if it's been written. And it only happens at the timing in which it's been written, which has to do with our missions and purposes. So let's see if we have anything else. Looks like that's all on my website. It's all on Facebook. Dinara, sorry if I mispronounced that, from Kazakhstan. Welcome. Thrilled to have you here. Oki, thank you very much. You are darling. Well, thank you very much. Let's see if there's anything. A great explanation. That really helped. Thank you. Looks like that's all we got for this week. So again, here's that link if you want to download it yourself or share it with other people. This free gift of one of my bestsellers, The Ultimate Key to Happiness. Again, this has a big chunk of truth with a capital T, the download, the install, as it relates to emotions and feelings and that part of life. So for those of you, especially if money's an issue, budget's an issue, or timing or time or other things related to doing the ultimate freedom experience, that can ripple through and create gigantic changes in your story too. So let me take one last look. Last chance, if anybody has any questions, type in a Q with a colon and then your question. Otherwise, it looks like we're done. And wow, look at that. It's right at an hour, 12 o'clock. So on that note, I've got my concluding remarks for you. Hope you'll join me again next week. I haven't decided the topic yet. Sometimes I just wing it. And I do have a list of topics that I will get to eventually. At least I think that I will. But I don't make the decision usually until a couple of days before something pops. Oh, that's what I'll talk about on Tuesday. So hope you'll join me. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you got benefit from this or other episodes, this is my request for you. Please like it, share it, comment, particularly if you are watching the video. It's very important to me to have interaction. It makes it a lot more fun for me to know who's out there, how this is impacting them. And I would appreciate your help in being able to spread the teachings to a wider audience by you sharing it, liking it, and other things like that. So again, that's my request for you. And so here's my close of every show. Thanks for joining me. I hope you found this useful. Lots more things to come in future episodes. And if you haven't watched, this is episode 13. If you haven't watched the previous ones, each one to me, just my bias, filled with gems and gold and pointers and direct explanations of truth with a capital T, things that can be real supportive. So I invite you to watch the back issues, the previous episodes, if you haven't already. I know it's a big commitment of time, but it's still my invitation. So let's take one last look. Salful something, thumbs up, thank you. Leslie, heart. Hilda says, thanks, Robert. X Lynn Johnson, thank you so much. I love your work. Cool, I appreciate that. Kelly says, what you're talking about reminds me of a great novel named Niebla. Mist, the main character, Augusto Perez, goes through learning about truth. Well, I'll have to look that up. Thank you. I love stories like that. Okay, so here's my close. Bye-bye for now. I'll look forward to our next form of contact, whatever shape that takes. Here we go. For more information on how I can help you unblock yourself and experience ultimate freedom, visit my website, robertscheinfeld.com, and while you're there, get the guide. The guide will open a gateway into a free video masterclass that gives you all the details.